Hey guys, what's going on? It's your girl. I'm sorry. It's your girl, Neo Soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya, back again for another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. Y'all know the drill. Let me see those thumbs ups, those hearts, those happy faces. Let me know you guys are good. Y'all ready to tackle this day? It is 7:30, bright and early. If you're ready to get your day started, let's get it. So I'm laughing because I'm sitting here trying to be studious with my glasses on. I hate wearing my glasses. Um, but I didn't have time to put my contacts on. So I'm just laughing at myself. Anyway, the topic. Not ready for this one. Somebody hit me up and said, "Man, y'all going too deep. This deep." So the topic: if we learn from our mistakes, why are we so afraid to make a mistake? That's the topic. That's the question I have for you all. So I need you to start typing because y'all know I can talk, and I'm gonna talk the whole entire segment if you guys don't put nothing in here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my mama on. We're gonna share the mic if y'all don't say nothing. But I want you to think about that topic. Seriously, honestly. Every topic that we bring it up because we want to grow each other. We want to be more strategic in our approach of life, and to help each other grow, help each other become who it is ultimately that God wants us to become. Right? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring her on. Hello.
Good morning.
What
Good
in the
morning.
what are
Good
you
morning.
doing? I don't know if
That's
I want to
right. Yep.
know.
It is such a good morning, and I'm praying that everyone is just as blessed as I am. Looking out at the bright sunshine and the trees are blowing a little bit, just enough to stir a little bit of air. I'm just happy in Jesus alone. Yeah.
Okay then.
Don't start me.
You want to pray?
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, I know, God, that you have so ordained this ministry, and I am praying that anything and everything that we do and say will be to your glory. In the name of Jesus, amen. Don't start me. Mm,
All right then. Amen and
amen.
amen.
Feeling good.
So we had to get the good first lady on here to pray a little bit.
Yes, lady.
So let's tackle this topic. Let's tackle this topic because this is something that um, it hits home with me. Um, and when I realized how bad I was with this, um, was when I saw it manifest in my oldest daughter, and that's when I realized that it was necessary for me to change my mindset on how I approach this comment or this topic rather. If we learn from our mistakes, why are we so afraid to make a mistake? So most people who really know me, like really, really know me, I'm a perfectionist. Like I want things absolutely perfect, whatever that means. And it's not necessarily me being a tyrant over it, wanting everyone else to be perfect. It's more so myself. Like when I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I'm so hard on myself. Um, and I'm so meticulous about how I do things because I want it just right. If I'm planning a party, if I'm writing a contract for somebody, even down to like, being a CFO and dealing with the money, like everything has to be perfect. Like I want everything to be perfect. And I I dread making mistakes. And when I make them, I think I'm harder on myself than anyone else would be. And I didn't realize how bad and psychotic it was until my oldest daughter um, got well. I didn't really notice it in elementary school, but it was more so like in middle school, um, how much she is like me, and on the outside looking in, I'm like, whoa, 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 calm down. And her reaction to mistakes that I would consider minor were almost like borderline traumatic and, almost close to like PTSD. Like it was bad, and she couldn't let it go. And so she kept talking about it. People had moved on. Some people didn't even notice it. And it was just her. And it was to the point where I almost didn't notice. I was like, I wouldn't even have known if you didn't say anything. And I realized, like, oh my God, like, wow, like that is me. And I have, I have been so deep in this thing that it has begun to manifest in my children. That's a problem for me. So I started to uncover like the root of it all. Like, why is it that I'm so afraid to make a mistake when 90% of the time people don't even know that I made a mistake? And I think for me, um, it's not a matter of looking perfect for people, because that I don't really worry about. For me, it's more so I want to make sure I'm giving my best. Like, I want to make sure that I'm giving my absolute best. And so mistakes for me in the past have meant, like, you're not okay. You're not thinking hard enough. You didn't think this through all the way, which means you weren't giving your 100%. Because if you were giving your 100%, you would have caught that, because you would have took your time to, iron this out, or iron that out. And that's how I thought. Um, Now that I'm on the other side of 40, I think for me now, I still don't like making mistakes. I don't like being wrong, but I don't mind being wrong, because I really feel that when I make the mistake and I acknowledge that it's a mistake, it opens my mind to growth, because now I'm analyzing the mistake and I'm saying, how did I get here? Like, how did I get to this point? And to me, that gives me more wisdom. And so um, it gives me more experience, so that as I grow and as I continue um, to go through life, like the next situation, that's not stumping me, because I've been through that and I understood why it happened. So now I won't allow it to happen. So that's how I think. That's what I feel, and that's why that's my outlook on this whole topic, as far as learning from your mistakes and being afraid to make them. What say you? All right, Vanita. Vanita says, we are programmed to strive for perfection. As children, we are taught it's wrong to make a mistake. You got to get good grades, etc. Once we're past it, we can look back on the mistakes that we try so hard not to make and discover what the experience taught us in the long run. I get you. I think, for my kids, for my children, well, my daughter especially, because she's like literally just like me. Um, Straight A student since kindergarten. Like, and if it looks like she's not getting a high A, not even a B or a C, if it looks like she's not getting a high A, she's freaking out. She's looking at stuff that she can do to secure the A. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm looking at her like, oh my God. And I know my mom has a story for this, because like it literally is like generational. Like, and there was something that a teacher actually told her, my aunts, or her mother, in regards to her, and I'll let her tell that. But like, literally, to the point where like Layla's sitting there like, mommy, like, I got this back, and I got a 90, but I'm trying to figure out why I didn't get 100. Like, what happened to the 10 points? Like, what did I do that caused me not to get the 10 points to make it 100? And I want to say Layla, but it's an A. Like, it's still an A. But then for me, I'm like, A is not good enough. It's just not, I just don't want it just to be an A. Like, I need to know why I didn't get 100 so that I can correct that part. So the next time I'm busting 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to articulate that to her when that's how I think. But I don't like what I see when I see her dealing with it. If that makes any sense. I'm gonna take one more comment and then mommy is she itching to talk. Um, Phil says our emotions or attitudes are just as powerful as our minds or IQs. So mistakes are inevitable over time, no matter how wise the person is. God's friendly reminder of humility, however, we must recognize and take ownership of our mistakes or flaws to help not repeat the same ones again and again. That is it right there. I need you guys. I need you guys to understand that and hear that. Like, hear the heart of that because that's how I feel. Um, that's how I want to conduct myself as I go through life and experience the things that I experience that come that have mistakes attached to them. That's how I want to view things, and I'm striving to make sure that I do that. That was a good one. What you say, Mom? What you say now?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I should have brought you on at this point. Sorry.
Yeah, before you did too many spoilers. At any rate,
How would I
um,
spoil you?
the reason I dare say the reason pencils have erasers, chalkboards have erasers. Um, and so it's okay. I actually brought my kids up. Yes, setting high standards, setting the bar high, training them to set the bar high. However, um, when you make a mistake, and you will in life, it's okay. You correct it, or you do what you can to correct it, and you keep it moving. Um, you accent the positive, and you don't accelerate the negative. Um, I learned early, and when I was in middle school, I was a straight A student all through school until I got to college. And one particular time, my older sister, had to attend a parent conference in my mother's behalf. And the counselor, Mr. Edwards, I still remember him, um, said to my sister, he complimented, and your sister is so smart, da, 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 all the nice, perky things. But he said, encourage her every now and then to get a B. And my sister, of course, looked at like, is this man crazy? But he said, reason being, um, when she gets anything lower than an A, it will devastate her. And the older she gets, the further along she gets, it'll be even more devastating. He was right. Um, but the thing was, in my household, my dad and my mom always encouraged us to do our best. And this is what I brought my kids up under. And that was always doing your best. When you're satisfied doing your best, then, great. You've done a great job. When you get those high grades, A's, fine. We celebrate you. It's wonderful. But never putting pressure on them when they didn't get to that point. The thing was to sit down and talk with them and find out what is it, where was your weak spot? What do we do to improve this? And so that's where, that's my take as far as making mistakes. Um, I I too am a perfectionist to an extent, but as you grow older, you tend to
That's where I got it
um,
from.
adjust, in terms of those mistakes. You really use those mistakes as a pivotal point for getting better, you know. Um, whether it's academics, whether it's the arts or whatever, you use those mistakes as a point of, questioning yourself. Again, that mirror talk. What need I to do? What should I do to make things better? And first off, what did I do? How did I make this mistake? And these are the conversations I suggest we have with our children, you know, actually having dialogue with them, allowing them to speak to us in terms of, even when I had um, parent conferences with my children's teachers, it was having that conversation with them. Okay, they are not doing well here. You share with me. I've already had this conversation with my child. I need to know from you what's actually taking place in this particular subject, or what uh, do we need to do to make it better, or be successful. But never putting that pressure on the student, on your child, you know, because then you have some other problems from that. But as I said, you celebrate the highs, and you talk about, have conversations about the lows. What can we do to make this better? I'll let that sit for now.
So I think about like I consider myself a little bit wise. And when I think about the word wisdom, I think about experience. And in order to gain wisdom, you have to experience. And to me, true wisdom is a combination of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, it's not just all the good things, because how would I be able to um, how would I be able to share wisdom with someone about a thing, um, to steer them in the right direction, if I don't know what it looks like on the other side? And so to do that, one would have to experience that. And in that, you know, it's almost like dressed up in what you would call a mistake, a stumble. And thinking of it that way, like I ponder why we even call it a mistake, like, and not just a roadblock, or not just a pit stop, or, I don't know, like obstacle. Because it's necessary. Um, Sometimes it's necessary to experience what we would call a mistake, to gain the wisdom that you need, so that when you move to the next level, um, you're able to make a wise decision because you've gained wisdom. Sometimes when I fail, it was down there at my fall that I see the tools that were already laid out for me to make it through the situation. And had I not fallen, um, I might not have seen it. And so making it through the situation would have proven to be more difficult for me. And so now, how I try to view things is, I embrace obstacles, and I say now to my children, however the cookie crumbles, I'm going to be good. Like, however the cookie crumbles, I'm going to be good, because if I do this right, it's awesome. Let's go. If I fall, um, I'm going to make sure that I grab everything, every tool that's down there when I'm on the ground, that's necessary to make this journey easier for me. because I was walking before without these tools because I had not seen them. So like now I don't look to make mistakes, but I definitely fall gracefully now. Like I don't brace myself for the fall. Like I fall gracefully, and and I make the best out of it. Like I'm trying to, like while I'm down there, I'm like, yo, oh yeah, let me get that, let me get that. Like I didn't even see that before, And so now, like I feel like I'm rebuilt. Like I feel like I've put on more plate to my armor. When I do get up off the ground and I begin to continue walking. So I don't know. Like what do you guys think? Like are you still in a state of, and how do you articulate this to the young people in your life? I won't say your children because some people, they parent other people's children,
You know,
sometimes unconsciously. So I want to know how you how do you articulate this whole subject of making mistakes? Like, how do you
as,
articulate that to the children that look up to you?
as an educator and also ministering and as a counselor, part of my one of my masters is in counseling psychology, and I'm always when in the classroom, I'm always my thing was getting into the heads of my students as I encourage them to get into my head. I want to know what they're thinking as I would like, and I encourage them to know what I'm thinking. Uh, and the idea is not to teach them what to think as it is how to think. And oftentimes, what I would do for those students who made mistakes, or any of my students who made mistakes, was, in talking with them individually, counseling, pulling them aside. And I always use my story. I'll use an example from me. And the idea of that is to let them know that it's okay, it's real, it's a real life thing to make mistakes. We what was it, Donnie McClurkin, we fall down, but we get up. And it's okay to do that. The and I would say to them, I consider myself a smart person, but you know what makes me smart is when I can dig and delve for more. When I make a mistake, when I fall down, I don't just stay down and cry and wallow in my sorrow. But what I do, I get up and I'm thumbing through resources to find out what it is I need to do to fix this thing. And that goes for life. We've been talking about that, all during this experience that we are in present time, and talking about those things that we are falling short in, and then fixing it, you know. Um, so that's my take as far as mistakes, and not to accent so much the mistake as it is to accent what do we do now. you know don't stay on that point of what I did wrong. What do I need to do to make it right? And I've seen too many children in the classroom because of previous experiences they've had, whether it was at home or with prior teachers, where they have their entire makeup has been distorted. They've been crushed based on someone insisting that, in so many words, that they be perfect, that they don't make mistakes. So and it came to fruition for me what that counselor meant when he was sharing that with my sister, and that was, it's okay to make mistakes, but use those mistakes to climb, to continue climbing. And that's what I do even now as an adult. you know um, I have no shame. There's no shame to my game in saying, "Oh, I was wrong." The other thing is, I've noted this with kids in class. The ones that you're constantly pumping up. Yes, you encourage your children. Yes, want to always, want to compliment them. But at the same time, we have to be careful with that too, because that group of kids that are constantly, you're the top of the line. And I had a Black history professor who said this. He said, if you think you are great, go up into the mountain where the giants are and then come back. What did he mean by that? As you continue to mature in life and you go further and further up the staircase, you'll find that, and I found this to be true, when you get to college, you know, you're smart, but then there are always someone who takes it maybe even a step further.
Yeah.
So the competition is stiff, and that's good. Competition can be good. But for those kids who have always, as my counselor would say, if you've always made A's and you've always been at the top of your game, and then you get to a point where you see that there are other people who not only at the top of your game, but they're the top, they surpass that. It's devastating. It can be devastating. And that's where in colleges you have a lot of breakdowns. You have a lot of kids who get to that point and then they just bomb out, you know. So we encourage, but at the same time, we want to keep it real. And I dare say that's when I developed my keep it real attitude about life, about learning, about everything, just about keeping it real. Okay. Yes, we strive for the stars. If you fall short of that, it's okay. The moon or those other constellations will catch you along the way, and you just pull yourself up, allow yourself to be pulled up.
Like as you were talking, I think about some of the actions that my husband and I take with the baby girl. So, she's about to be 2, and I remember when she first began to walk, um, and she would fall. We would
Do
all
you
clap.
remember that day?
We would literally clap for her. Like when she fell, we would clap. Everybody would be celebrating. You know what I'm saying? Like we all be like, ah! Everybody's clapping. And I remember the look that she gave us, like, what, huh? Like that's not what I see you guys do. But eventually her facial expressions changed as she began to get older. Like, and so when she fell, she would look and be waiting for us to
She's
celebrate.
looking for an applause.
And
She's
it
looking
was
for
almost like her momentum to be like, yo, I'm gonna get it because I see y'all walking. You know what I'm saying? And she would get up, and the momentum that she had, the attitude that she had, once she got back up was like so profound and so like accomplished. You know what I'm saying? And then she did it, and we
even
went crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody was like,
She even took
ah,
it to the next level. She took it
yes,
to the next level. It was like, I got to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
right.
The determination. I taught a group of kids called a program called AVID, Advancement for Middle School Students. And the idea was for through their determination to press forward. My theory is it's never too early, it's never too soon to prepare for college. And this is what I did with the AVID program, was to encourage kids, those same skills like reading, writing, arithmetic, advancing in your reading and your SAT words. And this to this day, I still insist and encourage my grandkids with
They
the
get a word
SAT
a day
words,
from
even when
grandma.
they were babies, when they were just beginning to talk. It's just throwing those words out at them, and building their vocabulary. It's really, really interesting, and as La said, with the baby, with a almost 2-year old, um, to see her, you know, she's happy even when she falls. She
Hmm.
gets back up. And she gets something wrong. I don't even know if she has a concept of the wrong in terms of
Right.
what she's doing.
I don't. So
She's
when she
trying.
first did it, her face was like she looked for what our reaction was going to be.
Right.
And I think if we as adults, and we deal with our young people like that, because they look for our reaction, and that's where they develop,
Absolutely.
oh, I'm wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
um
Absolutely.
and so often, unconsciously sometimes, or not without careful thought, we tend to go, yo, how could you do that? Like, what did you do? And that's what develops the lack of esteem in our children, and we wonder why, they grow to be these adults that feel like they have a chip on their shoulder. Now you're working beside these adults that you're like, yo, what the heck is wrong with them? It's
Yeah.
because we've we've almost like systematic. We talk about systemic stuff. Like we systematically like program our children to think that falling is wrong. Like, you shouldn't do that. You should get up and be able to pew take off. And it's so amazing to watch it uncover, because we did it unconsciously with our other children, but
Hmm.
because she is the absolute last one, for those of us who know that we have six, like I promise you, she is the absolute last one. So because she's the last one, I spend more time watching her and taking mental pictures and video of her growth, because I'll never have another little baby. And I realized, like, dang, don't cover your head. No, let me tell you, it's done. Um, I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, that boosts her. And she walked sooner. Like, all of my children walk quickly, but she
I
was like
remember
six
to
months
the day
old.
when you came home from work and I said, take this to mommy. Now, of course, the stimuli was, she's a breastfed baby. So, all I had to say, take this to mommy. Oh, yes. So she looked at me, she looked at mommy, and I said, no, go ahead. And she fell down.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, go ahead, take it to, go to mommy, and those little steps. And the interesting thing, and I'll share this secret, I actually have, have used my grandkids as an experiment,
Grandchild
as
said yes the
part of
very
my
last one.
research, um, putting together all of the things, the plethora of strategies that I've used over the years. And as a matter of fact, I started Grandma Summer Camp as a result of that, because I wanted to use all or as many of the strategies that I've used over the years in teaching with success with my own kids. I spent all these years with other people's children, and now was the time to, work with my own. And I saw what it did with my two bookends, La and her brother T, who each of them were reading before they went to kindergarten. When they went to school, and I have to say, when they went to school and the teachers were like, "Oh, their names. How did what kind of?" La would tell. That's another story where I had to go in and speak with one of her teachers, and we became friends. To this day we're friends as a result of her, like, what kind of name is that? And I said, did you tell her what kind of name it is? And my kids knew how to spell, they knew the meanings of their names prior to even entering the schoolhouse door. So it's a thing of, did they get it right the first time? No, but we kept on trial and error, you know, getting them to do. And that's what we have to do with our kids, with people, period. Adults are no different in terms of learning. We have to encourage plays a big part. That pat on the back, that warm, fuzzy, even when they are wrong, even when they make mistakes, we don't accent the mistake as much as we accent the positive, what they can do, and showing people how they can move from point A to point B, and be successful. But yeah, I many things that I tried and I've done with the kids, and like I say, the success story is that each of the one, two, is it six now?
You know what?
Six.
Yeah, but stop playing.
Each,
Just stop it.
each of the
Just
six
stop it
of
right there.
them were
It's
reading before
six.
they went
That's
to
it. With a period at the end. Six.
their,
Period.
each
Six.
of them excel in their reading. And so I know something works, when at first you don't. And one of them actually was struggling and struggling. And we spent, I did, like I said, the reading, writing, arithmetic, but we also did field trips. We did all kinds of fun things. And the other kids were like, come on, we want to go on a field trip. But we couldn't go until everybody, encouraging her, this particular child, to do. And so finally, and when I
You
look
know,
at
I
her
hate to
now,
stop you, but I want to point that out. I want to highlight that because it wasn't like they realized that them saying, "Oh man, like come on, what are you doing?" did not help move forward. Like so they realized that encouragement got the whole
the
group moving
encouragement,
forward.
right?
And
And
so they grew up like they have the mentality that like when somebody is behind or somebody looks like they're lagging, like instead of saying like, "Oh my gosh, she's so slow," or like they boost you. Like if you are in the classroom with the Castro children, like you're gonna feel so boosted to the point where you're on the level that needs to be made so that the whole entire class can move forward because that's just what we've taught them. That's what we've instilled
and
in
that
them.
and that that's something. The other thing too, another strategy I used in my classrooms. My classroom, especially when I taught elementary school, it was like everybody knew who my kids were. When they went through the line to get their lunches, and even to the point where they came back to their seats, nobody ate until we ate family style. So nobody ate until everybody was at the table. We sat down, and those who prayed, that's why I say, we say that prayer was taken out of school, but to each his own. But with my grandma summer camp, that was the thing. That was the pivotal point. Was everybody realized, together we stand, divided we fall. The other thing, saying I had was, "You're as strong as the weakest link." When you see your brother or your sister has fallen or is falling short, what do? We reach under and we encourage them. This was the other thing. When someone, even when they did something or didn't do something correct or right the first time, we had this thing where, if kids are kids, and they, might say something that was not too encouraging. What did they do? They were told, for every put down, you have to do two put ups. And put ups meant something encouraging. And this carried on even after the camp, even at home, mom and dad, like, what is that? That was something, a part of the encouragement. That was a part of the lifting each other up. And yes, to this day, in the family, the Castro family, that's what kids do. That's what they know to, and they know kids, when you train them that way, they grow up knowing that that's what we do. We lift people up. We don't push them down further.
Yeah, so they do exercise that today. So anybody who knows my family, they know we are a family of pranks, and we
Biggest.
are always pranking each other or like putting each other out there like amongst us. And so we're getting older, and like our boys, right? They have this habit of like when they're like so they're both into sports, and so they have a habit when their dad is like yeah, I used to play ball and blah blah blah, and they're like, yeah, dad, you're old now, but I mean you still do have some game. Like they'll always they'll throw a dart and then they'll come and wipe it down. So and we're always like throwing shots at each other, and I think the reason why we do it is because we know the world is cruel. you know um I know our children are very talented. I know they're very smart,
No world out there.
and so there are going to be some people who want to find the flaws, because there are flaws. You know, we all have that thing that keeps us humble. And so, you know, we just joke and we go on each other in the house because, one, you're amongst people who actually love you. But I need you to know what that looks like. I need you to know what it feels like, so you're not devastated when you're out there in the world and there's somebody who's hating on you. There's somebody who says something, and now you're just so torn apart that you can't move on. Like I don't want my children to get to the point where they become depressed because of somebody putting them down, or saying, you know, you think you're like that. You're not that at all. You know, you're not all that. And honestly, to be even more transparent, um, our oldest daughter, like she and you know, God has a serious calling on her life because she, out of all the six, she seems to be the one that takes it for the team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
A missionary.
she's straight A's, very
She's a
talented.
missionary.
She's very talented. Like, she's a triple threat. She dances, she sings, she acts, and is absolutely amazing at all three at the same time. And this year, she encountered some people that she thought were her friends, hating on her or whatever. And like, she even overheard someone saying that when she ran for president, they weren't going to vote for her because Layla gets everything. That was their statement. And so they were encouraging people not to vote for her for president, because for class president, even though she was more than capable of handling the position. She was probably the best person for the position, given her experiences, her tenure at the school, and just, you know, her willingness to go above and beyond to integrate teachers and students. And I'm not just saying that because she's my daughter, but there were literally people going around encouraging people not to vote for her because Layla gets everything. We had a situation in her seventh grade year where one of the parents, her one of her good friends, wanted to audition for drama to be their major, and one of the parents told the teacher that she wasn't going to allow her daughter to audition because Layla gets all the good lead roles anyway. And that, it really broke. Like, it took a while to, when it got back to her, because it did, because, you know, people talk. It took a while for us to clean up that wound. um and it took a while because I didn't want it to grow infection, and just band-aid it. So I literally spent time and much attention on that, because she felt broken. Like, she was just like, I thought you're supposed to do good. I thought you're supposed to do good. I thought you're supposed to do good in school. I thought you're supposed to, like, when, you know, they teach us when we have a role, like, you embrace that role and you become that character. And I was doing that. Why is that wrong, mommy? You know, and so, like, I literally had to take a lot of time um, cleaning out that wound, so as to not have infection set in, so that she could grow and learn from that and move on. Because that would have proven to be very devastating for her as she continued to matriculate through school. But, like, some people are just cruel. And so we congratulate our children. We, like, everything is a momentous, okay, everybody knows, like, you know, some of the people that on here that know the Castros, like, yo, they lose a tooth, we doing a party. Like, we on live, like, you know, and we celebrating that the tooth fairy about to come and put the money under the pillow. Like everything is celebrated, because I want them to know that even their smallest achievements are amazing, because they're so necessary for the building of character, so that they can continue to walk this journey that God has prepared for them, right? Or that He's paved the way for them. And then at the same time, we throw shade like a mug. Like we do that because it's like, yo, I need you to know what it feels like. Like I don't want you to go out there blind and think that everybody is going to lift you up. I don't want you to have that false hope that, you know, everybody is going to congratulate you and have your back and be like, "Oh, yes, you did it." There are going to be some people out there that's like, "Okay, and so we do it in love and we explain why we do it, but we still do it. And so it's funny because they've adopted it, and so we do it to each other, and it never leaves the house. So I'm kind of bringing you into our world, but it never leaves the house. But we do that, and it builds our character. Like even as an adult, because they be throwing mad shade sometimes on me, and it builds my character, and I know I'm amazing because God made me that way. Like, so there is really nothing um, that anybody can say that can make me believe that I'm not great in the eyes of God, like that I'm not awesome, that I'm not amazing, in His eyes, because I know I understand my purpose and I know He has purpose for me. And like He loves me and He thinks I'm pretty dope. And so if nobody else thinks that, I know God thinks I'm dope. So therefore I'm dope. Um, and that's just how I think. That's just how I think. And I feel like if we did more, not just celebrating the good things, but celebrating those not so good things, in a strategic way, meaning I don't put you down because you made the mistake. Like, yeah, that hurt, didn't it? Like, that's how I talk to them. Like, they thought that hurt, didn't it? You don't like that? So, like, next time, what can we do to make sure that doesn't happen? Like, that's how we're talking. We're not putting them down, um, but we're strategically celebrating in a way where, they embrace this thing that has happened to them. And they use that as a tool to build and become stronger and better than they were before they fell. That's how I look at it.
And the good thing
Y'all let
in
me know
being a
when they get into
Grammy,
society whether we did a good job.
and the good thing in being a Grammy is I
You
don't have to
spoil
always be
them.
the nice guy. I don't have to, I like add that, how when you're preparing a meal, how you add spices to kind of spruce it up or however.
She
The, there's a
definitely
good
adds
there's a good
spice.
side and there's a bad side. The good side is, you can be the spoiler and then you walk away, okay, because you don't have to live with it, unless you're our family, because we're so knit close that we walk away for a minute, but then we're right back, together. It's almost like magnets. We're back together, um, and it's just innate. It's something that's our makeup. That's who we are. But as a Grammy, and it's interesting. Law had to brainstorm to start this tea with mommy. 70 years. And I had to think about it when she first mentioned it. I'm like, oh my gosh, when did I get to this point? 70 years?
I know
Oh my
it.
goodness. You know, such a blessing. Such a blessing. When I think about where I came from, what I have gone through, and I have now arrived at this point. It's such a blessing. So, as Grammy, my thing this out of my life is to weave in all of those things and some that will make my kids, my grown and gone kids and my grandchildren, to make them the best that they can be. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Before I close my eyes permanently, is to make my family the best. In fact, anyone whom I come in contact with, I make no excuses for, I sometimes have the dry humor or, things in, and they don't understand it. But what's the song say? You'll understand it by and by. And that's what I count on, because the things that I'm doing now is incorporating everything. Even, when the book is out and all that good stuff, don't say anything about the note paper. It's coming.
You got
It's
I
coming,
got color
girl. It's coming.
paper.
It's
What
coming.
you need? What you
I
need?
don't need paper.
What
I, you know what I need? I need a
what needs
dictaphone.
to
I need,
happen to make that happen?
but seriously, my goal is to incorporate everything. And the bad, I won't say bad side, but the unfortunate thing is the younger generation will not understand uh, the reasoning behind us OGs. They will not always
Oh
understand
gee.
why we do the things and say the things we do. My grandkids right now, they get so irritated sometimes. It's almost like, okay, here comes Grammy. Grammy's always lurking. And I tell them, yeah, Grammy's lurking. And guess what? She'll be lurking even when she's not here physically. She'll
Don't do
be
that.
lurking because
Don't do
that's the way
that.
the spirit goes. Absolutely. So I have them on their toes, and everything that I'm telling you, and I make no excuses for it because I'm backing it up with years of experiences, years of things that I've done and tried and have worked. And some things I've tried over and over. They didn't work the first time, but they eventually, I had success with them. So my goal is even with my mistakes that I've made, and I've done this with my bookends, is, and I share these things. There's no shame to my game. There's no shame because, even the things that were not so good and mistakes, I'm gradually weaving those in. I have conversations oftentimes with my son. Did I tell you such and such and such a thing? And even with my daughter out, did I tell you, so the idea of mistakes, to me, mistakes is a good thing, because you fall down but you get up. And knowing who I am and whose I am, hey, there's no limit. And this is the key point. There is no limit to what you can achieve, what you can do. you know whatever you can conceive, you can achieve. and and
Hey, we
and that's what
said
I live by. That's what I live by. So, this thing with mistakes, and I tell you, the best thing in the world was the inventor of the erasers, the different types. Even on your electronic devices, you can delete, you know, you can reinsert something to make whatever it is appropriate or correct. So, you know, um, I take joy. I don't take it lightly that, you know, God gave us a second chance. He gives us third chance. He gives us all kinds of chances. So who are we not to allow for mistakes and to allow uh, persons or ourselves even to correct those things that we've not gotten right the first time? So,
I
I really, the challenge today from me is for each of us, people who have not um, done the right things, or they made mistakes, whether it's a daughter or son who's gone astray or what have you, or grandchild or what have you, we don't further pulverize them in the ground. We lift them up. We encourage them. And that's our spiel, even from our conversation on yesterday. How can we fix this thing? No, we cannot do everything. You stay in your area of expertise and your purpose. Everybody has a purpose. And so whatever it is that you're good at, you're going to use that to encourage someone else. And that someone will encourage someone else, and so on and so on and so on.
have
Drop
a,
the mic,
I have
guys.
don't drop it just yet. I have a quick question for you. Um, we got about 4 minutes, but I want to get this question out. So Jeannie asks, "Hey Jeannie," she
Who was
asks,
that?
my homegirl Jeannie. She
Okay.
asks, she said, "Good morning, Queen, Queen and Queen
Good
Mother.
morning.
How can a mistake become an accomplishment?" I
Woo.
asked this question because of what we are experiencing today.
I'm glad you asked that question. There, first of all, we fix, we have to know the first step to solving a problem is knowing that there is a problem. After that, You look at the problem, and because this problem is concerning many different factors, we have to come to grips with, come to the table. We have to come to the table. We have to communicate. We have to connect and communicate. I was just looking at last evening, before I went to bed, um, Minneapolis, which I say at this point was a pivotal point in a lot of things. A lot more has come out of that. And that's life. Out of negativity comes a lot, can come positive. Out of mistakes can come success. So what do? We have to connect. Minneapolis um, has, all the protesting and so forth. Within 10 days of protesting, Minneapolis banned the use of the chokehold. Minneapolis City Council commits to permanently defund police department and invest in community services. The list goes on. There, there's. I'm looking at, and I had to print this out because I'm saying,
It's like you think
wow,
she's still a teacher.
wow. Out of adversity, out of mistakes, what do? First thing is recognizing that there is a mistake. Then we have to fix it. We have to fix it. Everybody doesn't know, with all of us, with all of our expertise, just think about it. You work within your purpose. What do you do best? And this is the way, we work with kids, with children, with adults, I don't care who it is. Within your purpose, within what you do best, you come to the table. Create your own little groups. Now, the new normal is these holding Zoom conferences or what have you online, where you have, like, what's that game show used to be where the people were in the boxes and talk it out.
Mhm.
I mentioned this yesterday. I happened to have tapped into a group of ministers and bishops and all these fancy dancy titles of in the religious world, spiritual world, and they talked. There happened to have been only one African American, and the other five were Caucasian. They asked these questions that it's like the elephant in the room questions. Everybody want to know, but no, everybody's scared to ask. So we've got to pull off the mask, pull off those masks, not physically, not the mask for protection. I'm talking literally.
I forgot we.
Please don't take the mask off. But we
Well,
have to sit together and talk, keep it real. What can we do to fix this issue? And it begins, of course, we know, as with Minneapolis, with the brutality of policemen. And I said yesterday, and I still hold to this: training. Training is right. Yes, they go through all the trainings and how to ward off crowds and everything. But what about inside the sensitivity training? Realizing that people are people, realizing that, you know, um, God didn't make any mistakes when he created this whole world and the people in it. You know, we're each different. Even Siamese twins are different to some degree. And so we have to connect, communicate, and come to the resolution that if it's not in the best interest of everybody, it's just like with the Castro kids. If everybody isn't doing well, then we have failed. If everybody isn't feeling good about themselves, then something's wrong. What can we do to fix it? It's like those when my kids in summer camp, put someone down. I need two put-ups. I need something positive about that person. Stretch. And guess what? You can't use the same thing every time,
right.
because there are tons of things positive about this person that you can pull out. That's what I see happening in the real world as far as mistakes. We have to humble ourselves, humble ourselves, turn from our wicked ways. Ah, heard that before, haven't we?
Hey,
Turn from our wicked ways. Put that somewhere and talk to this person, these other people, as if they are human, and they are. and letting each person know that, you know, if it's not in the good, if it's not in the good of every, then something's wrong. There's no reason. I came from the Confederate South, capital of Confederacy. And I know what it's like to be put down. I know what it's like to be discriminated against. I know what it's like to be made, to make, to be made, belittled, to be made, like, talking, you know, no, you can't do this. So we've got to come together. First step. And I so admire the fact, and I've used this example yesterday with Michigan, the Michigan police, where they actually got in there with the protesters. They actually taught, and there's some other places that where the police did this, and they found that middle point where they could talk with each other. That's what we have to do. It's not an option. It's no longer an option. We've got. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. So my take on it, as far as mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. Thank you, counselor. It was back in middle school, junior high. Everybody, and it's okay. But now what? Where do we go from here?
Yeah,
Amen.
that's the hook
Woo,
there.
don't start me.
We always going over, man.
Yeah.
But like I said, a lot of these topics are simple when you look at them, but they're a
Hmm.
lot deeper. And I believe that it's necessary. Like I come up with them. My mom and I come up with them to make us think deeper. You know what I'm saying? We talk so much about being better, and
Yeah.
some of us who know better, we keep it to ourselves. We don't want to start the conversation.
Right.
To get people thinking deeper, using more of that brain that God blessed us with inside of our head, and topics like these, conversations like these are necessary because um, there there has to be a rebuilding of how we do life, how we
Mhm.
raise our children, how we pour into our children. If we want better results, um, sometimes it's necessary to change the curriculum, or revamp the curriculum, or look at it and make sure that um it's working, that it's
That's
geared in a way to help people be their best selves. And so, instead of being, we always say this, instead of being a part of the problem, it's time for us to be a part of the solution. Have these
solution.
conversations, go deeper
That's,
with these things, so that we can take it back to our respective homes,
yeah.
and begin to see it manifest in how we deal with our families, how we deal with our loved ones, how we deal with our young people who are not just the future, but right now, And
Absolutely.
if you want to be secured in knowing that we have good products of society out there, then
Mhm.
you have to be strategic in the building process, and we all
Amen.
are a part of that. You know what I'm saying? This is
Absolutely.
representation of the village. You know what I'm saying? The village, having these conversations, asking those questions, like, and I applaud and I thank God for the people who have asked those hard questions that are just like, um I hear what you're saying, but because it's necessary. Some of us are walking around blind, and we're cool with that, and then when we see the outcome of that, we're disgruntled, and we feel a certain way. But it's like, what are we doing to
Yeah.
rewrite the script? Like, what are we doing,
Mhm.
to enhance the curriculum? The
Absolutely.
curriculum that the students go through now is not the same exact curriculum that my mom went through. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, sometimes it's necessary to sit down
Mhm.
with the team and say, yo, what worked? What didn't work? You know what I'm saying? So that we can
And
do better.
I dare say that what we've gone through with this pandemic, with the distance learning, with parents being more involved in their child's learning, is something I, from way back when I first started teaching. it was to incorporate. I always had a classroom of parents. I always included my parents in my learning process. And it has to be that way. I dare say, it would be very interesting to see, to tap into, to do some kind of rubric, some kind of assessment to see how effective and impactful the learning process became during this pandemic. I know for a fact I have several parents whom I have, been following, and Castro definitely. Heather Austin, I'm plugging you out with the things that they were doing. These parents, I know, and there are many others, things you were doing with your kids that ordinarily would not have happened or wouldn't, because of the work schedules and so forth and so on. So it's going to be really interesting if there was any type of assessment to show how impactful this process was.
Mhm.
Out of bad things come good things. That's Bible, hey, word it any way you want, but out of things that don't look good on the surface, or things like this pandemic, yes, it was devastating. It is devastating. However, out of it came some positive. And what can we do? With the mistakes, we can work together. Together we stand, divided we fall.
And let's learn
Uh,
to celebrate that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like I said, I think I said it yesterday. You know,
Yes.
when we learn from our mistakes and we begin to change and move, there's always somebody that want to bring up what we didn't do. You know, what we jacked
Exactly.
up on back then. And that keeps pulling us back. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole point of it all is to learn from the mistakes. So if I didn't do that then and I'm doing it now, celebrate the fact that it's being done. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because you're
Exactly.
stunting the growth by trying to pull up the what dad, you should have did that back then where I didn't, and maybe it was necessary because
Let's
now I have a greater respect for why I'm doing it now. You
absolutely.
know what I'm saying? So like we have to begin to, and it starts at home. You know how they say, in order to, well, I don't know if they say it, I'm gonna say it, in order to inject like good products of society, it starts within your household. You know what I'm saying? You
Within.
can't send your kids out there and expect
Start
that
with you.
people are going to reel them. You got to do that at home. And so we're fighting this fight. Yes, keep fighting, keep marching, keep talking, keep speaking, keep having these conversations, keep holding these meetings, keep pushing people
Absolutely.
to go vote. At the
Absolutely.
same time, let's begin to create the change within, in our
Within
household.
ourselves.
Look around you. If your grandmama and your mama still like them white folk, like change the narrative. Change the narrative so that we can begin to look at things in a positive way so that we can
Abs-
move positive and be a part
Absolutely.
of the change. Like you
Yes.
can't expect to change and be like, y'all need to change. No, we all need to change
Oh,
because of
absolutely.
the things that have happened. We've developed a mindset,
Yes.
right? That is
Please,
not
please. Yeah.
necessarily all good. So
a-
everything needs to change. So I want you guys to think about that. And you guys
Absolutely.
look at these topics and you're like, yeah, okay. But it's deep. Like, I told y'all I was
And
over
each
analytical, man. I need
start me, myself, and I.
yeah,
What I do
yeah.
while you're home during this time? There's shouldn't be anyone, even grandmama in her wheelchair, should not be just sitting there complacent. Nothing. Out of this time, within your space, do something, pull out, reach down deep and pull out your strength, your purpose, what you do best, and share that even with one person. And that person ideally will share with another person, and so on and so on and so forth. That's the way it's going to impact the world. It has to start with one, a committee of one, and that's yourself.
Yes.
Amen.
And that has got to be a wrap because we're going to keep talking.
Yeah, gotta be. We gotta
That's
go.
it, yo. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Oh gosh, we
You
love
know, if
y'all.
you got, we always look back at this. So if you guys put comments, we're definitely going to
Yeah,
comment if we
yeah,
didn't comment within the feed.
absolutely.
But yeah, let's get some knowledge in us, man. Let's, and
Yeah,
then share it. Let it spread.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Um,
Amen.
so y'all know
Well,
how we end this. I love you. You know I love you. I do this because I love you. And y'all know Mama Lou, she loves you too. And most importantly, our creator, God loves us all. And that
oh
is why it is
yeah,
necessary for us to wake up and pay attention.
yeah,
Get up, get out and
yeah,
get something. Don't let the days of your life
yeah.
pass by. So let's do that. Um, once again, it's your girl Neo Soul recording artist wrapping up another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. It's been awesome. It's always real with you guys. I enjoy it. And until tomorrow, you guys be awesome. All my essential workers, you know the drill. Y'all be safe. We praying for you. Those who not essential, I know they opening the world up, but be safe, be smart about it, and be wise so that our essential
Yes.
workers can survive. So that they can help us out in this thing. All right. Love
Love you.
y'all. Until tomorrow. Holla at your girl. Mighty, classy, beautiful. 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 Mighty, classy, beautiful.